Welcome to This Explainer. On Sunday, June 7th, 2026, a really violent stabbing incident just completely disrupted one of the nation's absolute busiest transit hubs, New York's Penn Station. And look, whenever these high-profile incidents happen, the actual facts can get totally lost in a sea of speculation, right? So today, we're cutting through all that noise. We're going to rely strictly on official reports to break down exactly what unfolded, who was actually impacted, and where the investigation stands right now.
Hundreds of thousands. Literally hundreds of thousands. That is the daily passenger volume moving through the corridors of Penn Station every single day. It's basically the pulsing artery of the entire region's commuter network. So when you're in a closed environment that's just packed with this many people, any disruption, let alone a sudden act of violence, well, the stakes are just incredibly high.
And on that particular Sunday, the normal, routine hum of travelers was just abruptly cut short. A violent stabbing incident completely brought normal operations to a screeching halt. It serves as this really stark reminder of just how fast a standard, boring commute can literally turn into a massive, large-scale emergency.
Okay, Section 1. The incident at Penn Station. Let's dive into the timeline.
So authorities have basically laid out the chaos for us in three very distinct phases. First off, a localized dispute begins between a few individuals. Then, phase 2, things rapidly escalate. A suspect allegedly pulls out a knife and starts stabbing multiple people. And then third, the rapid response. Police and EMS arrived super swiftly right after those initial reports came in, and they moved incredibly decisively to secure the scene and, of course, treat the wounded.
Moving right along to Section 2, the victims and the injuries.
5. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the official, confirmed count of the victims. It's honestly a pretty sobering metric of just how lightning fast a localized argument turned into a multi-victim scenario. And every single one of those 5 individuals required immediate medical treatment.
Now, if we look at the severity of the toll here, one victim unfortunately suffered serious injuries that required urgent transport to a nearby hospital for some advanced care. But thankfully, the remaining 4 victims sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Seeing this breakdown gives us a really clear view of the medical impact without us needing to get into any unnecessary graphic details. All right, Section 3, the arrest and the ongoing investigation. So for the commuters who rely on this hub every day, we have 3 really vital updates. First, police detained a suspect right at the scene, which is huge because it totally prevented a massive, sprawling manhunt. Second, investigators recovered a knife, successfully securing the alleged weapon. And third, well, because of this super rapid intervention, authorities were able to definitively state that there was no ongoing threat to the public. That's a huge sigh of relief. Whenever violence strikes a busy public space, everybody's immediate fear is that it's some sort of active, random attacker, right? However, all the evidence currently points to this stabbing actually stemming from an escalated dispute between specific individuals. And guys, this is a massively vital distinction. It heavily contextualizes the threat for us, showing that this was a specific confrontation that basically boiled over, rather than some generalized danger to innocent bystanders.
Let's shift gears to Section 4, the impact on the transit hub itself. Because obviously, a localized event in Penn Station instantly triggers these massive, macro-level logistical ripples. Passenger movement was significantly halted across the Long Island Railroad, NJ Transit, and Amtrak. Boarding basically had to be paused so emergency crews could safely extract the victims, and so detectives could secure a completely sterile environment to collect their evidence. It's like a giant puzzle they had to freeze in place. Now, the scene might be cleared, but the actual detective work, that's really just beginning. Right now, investigators are actively pulling visual data from Penn Station's incredibly dense network of surveillance cameras to try and reconstruct this confrontation, literally second by second. They're also out there interviewing eyewitnesses to corroborate those video feeds, and as this absolute mountain of evidence is processed, authorities fully expect to file formal charges against the detained suspect. But all of this leaves us with one critical missing piece of the puzzle. What actually triggered the dispute in the first place? I mean, we know the what and we know the how, but the actual motive remains officially unannounced. Like, what exactly caused a disagreement to spiral into such severe, unthinkable violence? As we await those formal charges, investigators are working tirelessly to uncover that root cause. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and definitely stay curious as the final facts come to light.